You need to be rocking your hips. The power of prayer, so I'm gonna have a representative, delegate, Reverend Josh Cole, come up for a prayer.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right, I'm gonna try that again. I'm a preacher. I need to hear y'all. Good afternoon, everybody. We are so excited to be here with you all today as we fight for to let the people know that black voters matter. We also want to let the powers know that D.C. deserves statehood. Oh, y'all can get a little bit more excited about that one. So I ask that you join me in prayer. I know we have many different people and many different faiths, so I ask that you pray in your way and allow me to pray in my way. Is that all right? Father God, we bless your name this afternoon, and we say thank you. Thank you for giving power in our voices, power in our hands, and equipping us to pray with our feet. Not just being doers, but also workers and sayers of the truth. That we will speak truth to power and let every politician know that you are on notice. As long as you hold back the voices of people of color and black folks, you are on notice. As long as you continue to push down voter suppression laws, you are on notice. We've come to let the enemy know, everything in hell and around hell know, that suppression will not stand. We've come to let everybody know that we are fighting against injustices and oppressions. For 400 years we've been fighting, and now it's time for victory. We lift up our voices and we decree and declare, no weapon formed against us shall prosper, but we shall succeed and we shall prosper. We give thanks and praise because we know in your word in Psalms chapter 2 verse 8 it says, ask anything in my name and it shall be given unto you. So we say, step back, voter suppression. We say, step back, big business. We say, step back, oppression and everybody else coming against the Imago Dei. We were created in the image of God, and every time you fight us, you are fighting God. So we are putting you on notice. Somebody help me say amen, amen, and amen. Hallelujah.
All right, that was a lot of power. We got some love and some power up in here. All right, so next we have a junior from the College of William and Mary who's going to give us some spoken word. And that's Alton Cotton. Let's get you up here. Oh, you good? You good? You good? There you go, bro.
Good afternoon, everyone. Every time you fill out a ballot, you're adhering to a dream in which our predecessors can only wish to conceive of. On July 4th, 1776, in Independence Hall, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Second Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, seeking to abolish any and all political, social, and economic ties from British colonial rule. And the most famous words of that declaration are that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and are endowed by that Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among those rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today, we seek to continue to mesh these words with the reality of our time. For history has shown us that justice is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Therefore, when we go into the ballot box, we must recognize the lives taken, bodies castrated, spirits broken, the mournful wails of millions whose chains grew heavier by the day, and open wounds crusted over like a sugary syrup by the night. We built this country, plowing the cold hard earth, constructing ships and buildings. And around a century later, in 1865, the aftermath of the Civil War, we had the second founding of America, the Reconstruction era of America. And although we had the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments passed, the oppression still persisted, just in nuanced forms. Because although the 13th Amendment may have granted freedom to black Americans in this country, what is freedom without being viewed as a citizen? And although the 14th Amendment may have granted citizenship to black Americans in this country, what is citizenship without the full set of human and civil rights necessary for the full enjoyment of that citizenship? And although black Americans may have been granted the right to vote, specifically black men were granted the right to vote with the 15th Amendment, what about our sisters? What about the fact that voter suppression and literacy tests were utilized to ensure that black people in this country could not vote? Nevertheless, we persisted. We persisted through our effort, through our tenacity, through our black nationalism, through our freedom riders, through our Ella Bakers, Stokely Carmichaels, Ida B. Wells. All this to say that our ancestors have done their work. And I have no right whatsoever to enjoy the fruits of their labor without leaving even more social, political, and economic freedoms for my children to come, from the sweat of my brow. It is no longer time to be disengaged, no longer time to be disillusioned, no longer time to be disinterested, no longer time to sit on the sidelines, no longer time to allow individuals to come into our community, control the economic of our community that do not have our best interests at heart. No longer time to allow politicians to come to our community that we never see until election time, telling us how to vote with their old betrayed promises. It's no longer time to be psychologically traumatized, colonialized with state public education curriculum, teaching us what they want us to know as opposed to what we actually need to know. A great memory is far more impactful than a great dream. Because a dream can be had by anyone, but a memory must be made. Let the memory that we sow for our children show that our form of protest is diverse, that we own our community, socially, politically, economically. We're no longer viewed as simple machines to plow the earth. We are citizens, this is our country, and we are not going anywhere. And the way that we can achieve some of these things are through our organizing, through our passion, through our talent, through our effort, through our ballot, and through our protest. Thank you.
I just gotta say, brother, those some powerful spoken words right there. Can we get another hand praise? Y'all know I'm church, I say hand praise. All right, cool. So we actually gonna go up with next. All right, so now we're gonna welcome the former three-time Richmond City Council and former President Marty Jewell.
Lord, what a thing of beauty. I saw y'all coming up I-95 on them buses. I said, freedom coming. Freedom coming. God bless you, and God bless you for your work. the Richmond Crusade for Voters, and I saw my president over it. Jonathan, throw your hands up. We've been at it since 1956. And our mission is voter registration, voter education, and get out to vote. For God knows how long, we've been the only black political game in town, and every politician of note has had to come through us. Governor, the first black governor in America, L. Douglas Wilder was launched through the Crusade for Voters. Mayor Henry Marsh, the first black mayor in Virginia, launched from the Richmond Crusade for Voters, and we're proud to join up with Center for Common Ground, who are bringing technology that we can use to do voter-driven voter get-out. And we're the only state next to New Jersey that has an election this year. And so this will be a test pilot between now and November to overwhelm the polls in November and get our people out to vote. And your energy that you bring with you brings us energy to do that work. And God bless you. You are not a commemorative, what do you call this? The Freedom Riders. You're not commemorative, you are revised and rejuvenated Freedom Rider. And Lord knows we need you now. And so I'm going to wish you Godspeed. We're going to follow you everywhere you go, and we'll link up wherever you dictate. Thank you, and God bless you, and welcome to the city of Richmond.
All right, next we have up. Y'all know how it's become hard to see your iPhone when it's bright outside? That's what's happening right now. All right, now we have Monica Hutchins. She's a community organizer with VA Family Friendly Economy and Director of Government Relations for Women of Color Coalition.
All right, hey everyone. So, like you said, I'm Monica Hutchinson. One of the things that I fight for here in Virginia is for the care economy policies, paid family and medical leave. We're talking about Black Voters Matter. I just need everyone to understand that our job does not end when we vote. Our job is just beginning at that ballot box. We have to have accountability. We have to have transparency in our government. We have to hold people accountable, and that happens when we understand the policies that we need, when we understand how our government works. We can't advocate if we don't even know how the system works. So that's one of the things that we're out here, we're making sure people know, because, you know, no one can come into my community and tell me about it better than my community, right? You don't know what I need if you don't come in and ask me what I need. I don't want nobody talking for me. I don't want nobody speaking for me. Pass me the mic, and I can do it myself, right? We don't need a savior. We need someone to go open the doors that have been shut in our face, prop it open for us to come through. That's what I do. That's what many of the people out here do. In Virginia, we have recently begun talking about centering racial equity. Yeah, it takes more than just talking that, right? Yes, we got Juneteenth, and that's great because we've been fighting for it, and we should have Juneteenth. But I also need everybody to understand it means nothing if we don't have policies, anti-racist policies that right the wrongs of yesteryear. If we don't have that, then getting a holiday means nothing. So while we out here today, this is something that's beautiful. Black Voters Matter. We know this, right? They know it too. They know it every election year when GOTV start from August to November. So, but Black Voters Matter all the time. Like I said, I need everybody to understand the policies. Paid family and medical leave is one of the ones that would help right so many wrongs. Black women, brown women, low-income women. Let me say it again. Black women, brown women, low-income women. We bear the brunt of this. We bear the brunt of the lack of care economy policies. We are the caretakers. We are the ones that are missing out. From COVID, it's been women that was pulled out of the workforce. Black women pulled out of the workforce. So once again, if we want to right these wrongs, we need anti-racist policies that center those that are most impacted. And here in Virginia, it's past time that we get this done. So thank you guys for being out here. Thank you guys for listening to me. You guys have a wonderful day.
All right, so next up we have Nicole Hunt with Unite Here. I do gotta say about Unite Here. Y'all see them three? Y'all see that bus? They done went everywhere else that the bus done went. So I'm gonna have you. So Nicole, come on up. Come on up. So I just want to say thank you for BVM for following us everywhere that we have gone.
How y'all doing? It's good to see y'all here, and I'm glad to be seen too. Unite Here, where y'all at? Y'all can do better than that. Unite Here, where y'all at? Black voters matter, where y'all at? That's right, that's right, that's right. We got folks that been out here from on the buses Monday, from 226 Las Vegas, Local 7 Baltimore, Local 23 New Orleans, Atlanta, Vegas, I said Vegas, New Jersey. I hope I ain't forgetting nobody. San Diego. Let's scream it out. That's right. I can't remember anything, but scream it out. So I want to start from a quote from Asante Shakur. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Again, we have nothing to lose but our chains. On the 60th anniversary of the Freedom Rise, we stand together as one to fight against the system that try to silence us. But yesterday, today, and each day after that, we showed them we can't be silenced. And we won't be moved. Again, we won't be moved. Our freedom to vote is under attack. And what do? Stand up, fight back. What do? That's right. No other union has been hit harder than Unite Here. 98% of our union has been laid off. A lot of the brothers and sisters you see out here today were laid off in this pandemic. But in 2020, we decided to not stand back and wait till something happens. We made it happen. We have housekeepers, cooks, dishwashers, all of them laid off. In 2020, we took on the system and we won. We supported Biden, and what do? We won. We stood up and we fought back. We knocked on over 3 million doors in Nevada, PA, Florida. And then next thing you know what we did? We took back the Senate. We turned Georgia blue. So as Unite Here, we're proud to stand with Black Voters Matter to stop voter suppression. So we all today have a reason why we're out here. I'm out here because I can't just be quiet. None of us can just be quiet. I'm out here for my future. My future, my granddaughter is sitting right there. My son is in the crowd somewhere. I got my granddaughter at home. We out here because it matters. We got to keep fighting, keep pushing, because nobody is going to hand us anything. We got to keep up. We got to stand. We got to stand up, fight back. Our ancestors fought for us, and now it's time to fight for our future. And again, we can't lose anything but our chains. Unite Here. Peace out.
Right now, when I see all this red, I can only think of two things now. It's either going to be Deltas in the crowd, or it's going to be Unite here in the crowd. All right, y'all. We're moving on. All right, so next, we have Miss Thomasline Wilson. She with home care chair with SEIU Virginia 512. Woo!
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thomasline Wilson. I'm the Home Care Chapter Chair of SEIU, Virginia 512. And we've been out celebrating some things. Last week we celebrated Juneteenth. Finally being recognized that we are free in some areas, but not in all, but we continue to fight. Home care workers today is always about home care workers. We make the country run. We make sure people stay healthy. So keep on supporting us. And so on this beautiful day, we have come together, all of us, all workers from all walks of life. I see many familiar faces here, people who have struggled with us, people who have fought with us. But on this day, we are celebrating home care workers, especially on this day, home care workers in Virginia. We've come together and we won a lot of things, and we always are fighting and advocating for something. And so we've been providing high quality services and care for home care workers, for agencies, and we're working for people who are staying in their homes in a safe place, what they're familiar with, and we have been denied protection because of what? The anti-black hatred, systemic racism. We have a system that's set to work against us, but we are fighting against those laws, those policies, because they are not working for all people. Because until all of us are free, none of us are free. So yet we have never stopped persisting. We are organized, we've lobbied, we've led many, many movements, and we won over and over again. We want PPE, we want orientation. Give a shout out if you got it. And in the last 2 weeks, we had the first ever paid sick days provided to home care workers in the state of Virginia. So we won a total of 24%. Yes, 24% raise for the first time. And these are just a few of our recent victories. We have made calls, we have built membership, and we made our voices heard in the media, elected home care champions into office, and we also held them accountable. That's how Virginia got blue. We made it clear we won because of not just me, because of us. And on this beautiful day, we are continuing to celebrate. We have kicked off our campaign last week as well to make sure that we can celebrate all the hard work that we've been doing. So we're still trying to get, our foundation, we're still trying to get $15 an hour minimum wage. Just the minimum. That's not where we're going to stop. That's a start. And we need quality health care. We're doing the work, but we don't have the health care yet. We also need paid leave, an 8-hour workday, and a 40-hour week so that we can collectively bargain our contract. So that is our focus right now, collective bargaining. We would love for everyone to support us. We have petitions online that you can sign to support us to make sure that we can get the legislators' attention to support us getting collective bargaining. So to all of you, we have elected a president who for once has recognized home care workers. We've been missing, we've been in the dark a long time. We've been out here doing the work, but no one's recognizing us. So he has put billions of dollars to support home care workers. Our union is continued to be built up. We have got almost 300 new members in a 3-week period. And also, we just welcome them into our daily work cycle because it's a job that we have to get done, and we don't have time to relax. Every time we turn around, it's another election every year, and we got to keep people in office that's going to work for us, support us. And also, we have voted last year. If we did not do the right thing, I guarantee you, laws would not be getting passed to prevent us from doing it again. So when you hear that, stop listening to so much of this TV and media and things that you're hearing to program you to believe this is true, because it's not. We did an excellent job last year. Give yourselves a hand.
And I guarantee you, if you vote for the next 3 years to put a foundation and a base under those people that are in office to support them, that we will win again and again and again. And we also come together for this race of all cultures, and that's you, all generations, and all backgrounds. And we join together with many elected officials and other organizations, which are also all of you, and together we can rewrite the laws and force this Commonwealth to live up to its fullest potential for all people. And we're making history, and we're doing it fearlessly and joyfully. So hopefully we all can be the best that we can be as we come together. And I thank you all for your time, and you celebrate today like you've never done before. Thank you for your time.
All right, we're moving on with the program. Thank y'all so much. Y'all look beautiful out here. Oh. All right, so what we got next, we have Dr. Wes Bellamy, a former Vice Mayor of Charlottesville, Virginia, and current political science chair at the Virginia State University.
Good afternoon. All right, we're not at a funeral, we're at a celebration. Let me hear you say it again. Good afternoon. Let me hear you say it one more time so everybody in the great city of Richmond can hear you. Good afternoon. So listen, my name is Dr. Wes Bellamy. I'm the former Vice Mayor of Charlottesville, Virginia, currently serve as the Political Science Department Chairman at Virginia State University. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to say something that's really important. So if you're talking on the side, I need you to stop talking and listen for a second. Tap your person on the side to your left or to your right and tell them to listen for a very quick second. Thank you. We're on very hallowed ground, not necessarily specifically in this park, but in this moment. I want to say a few words that inspired the song that we just heard. These words came from an individual who is arguably one of the greatest orators in our nation's history. And his words from this speech in 1966 were just as potent then as they are now. He started his talk by saying, I come here tonight to plead with you. Believe in yourself. Believe that you're somebody. We don't have anybody or anything to be afraid of. He went on to say that nobody can do this for us. No Johnsonian civil rights bill can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, then he or she must sign with the ink and pen of their own self-assertive manhood or womanhood, their own level of freedom. And he went on to say, don't let anybody take your dignity, your manhood, your womanhood for that matter. He later in that same speech described two words. He said, look in your dictionary because someone told a lie one day. When you look at the word black, it's always couched in language that's something evil and ugly and dirty. Look at the word white. It's always something pure and high and clean. But I want to get the language right today. He went on to say that we don't have, again, anything to be afraid of. And furthermore, as he got the language right, he boldly and proudly proclaimed that he was black, that he was proud, he was black, and he was beautiful. And those words by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. led to the song, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. So I want you all to recite after me. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. One more time. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. So now, before my time is over, I want us to ask ourselves a question. If we're black and we're proud, if we're an ally and we're standing, what are we willing to sacrifice? That's only a question that you can answer. All the speakers can come up here and say what they want. We're going to hear from Delegate Price and Delegate Foy and the leaders of Black Voters Matter. And I see all of my friends and my family, and they're here, and they're going to give some powerful words. But when you leave here tonight and you look yourself in the mirror, you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice for the liberation and empowerment of our people? Are you willing to sacrifice comfort for us to get to where we need to be? Or are you okay with things as being as they are? Are you willing to sacrifice maybe some of your time, your talent, or your treasures for our people to get to where they need to be? Or are you one of the individuals who says things are always going to be what they are, so that's for somebody else to do? When we talk about voting rights, when we talk about the importance of us sacrificing, we would be remiss if we didn't think about all of the sacrifices from our people and for our people in yesteryear. But our time is now. How will you pay back that debt? Voting rights is not just about us going into the booth, as that's a short-term action. The long-term game, as many of us like to quote Nipsey Hussle, is a marathon. And if this marathon continues, are we willing to fight for voting rights, which have a direct impact on our communities and our streets? You know, that young man who may be 23 years old, who listens to NBA Youngboy, some of y'all may not know about that, but he listens to a lot of music, and he has dreads in his hair, and he may curse every now and again, and some of us may say that he's unruly, so we don't want to work with him. Voting rights to ensure that we get the resources to impact our communities in a positive way all plays hand in hand. What are we willing to sacrifice? That young lady who may be 19 years old with 2 children, who may have red, colorful hair and think every summer is a hot girl summer, and you may not want to deal with her because she may not want to listen. Are we willing to sacrifice some of our time to ensure that she gets the mentorship and the resources that she needs? That's why voting rights are important. So when we talk about what we're willing to do for our communities and for our people, I hope that when we leave here and when we go to D.C. and we go back to our communities, wherever you're from, you don't remember just people giving speeches, but you take up the mantle and go put in the work. That's my time. Thank you. Say it loud. Say it loud. Get up. Say it loud. One more time. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. What's up, Brother Cliff? Say it loud. Oh, y'all gave up that fast. Say it loud. There we go. There we go.
So, as y'all know, Black Voters Matter. Everything about this freedom ride is surrounded around celebrating blackness. And honestly, there's very few symbols that are blacker than this right here. Can everybody put a fist up in the air for me? Can everybody put a fist up in the air? And where opposition or evil will see it as an attack, we know that this is a sign that we are together and that black people live all across this country. And we don't forget those that are in the rural countries. We don't forget the ones that are in West Virginia. We don't forget the ones that are in Virginia and all the way around America. So one thing that we've been doing throughout this tour is we've been passing, Passing the torch. I got myself too hyped. All right, we've been passing the torch from each state to state because we know that the black people in this country, unitedly, we are stronger together. And we know that the black people in this country, how we are treated, how the lowest man is treated, the lowest woman is treated, it's going to set the tone for how the rest of America is treated. All right? So in these moments that we are together, we got to remember to always pass this torch. So I'm happy to be a part of such a special moment. Y'all got to understand, Virginia is the third home for me. I've been lived in 3 out of the 4 Commonwealths. Y'all are very special to me. So, so we're going to pass this torch. So the first person, I just want to say a few words before we pass the torch. Oh, gotcha. Is a very powerful one. I heard her speak yesterday, y'all. I had shivers. All right. Katanya Fire. Hold on. I'm going to have you say a few words before we pass the torch. West Virginia.
Yes, West Virginia has something to say. I've traveled here from Charleston, West Virginia. Woke up at about 8 o'clock this morning, hit the highways going 90 miles to get here. Because I do believe it's important to stand with Virginia and the other cities that are on this tour. It's important for us to erase those lines that divide. They have all kinds of reasons why we shouldn't stand as one, because they know when we do, there's power. There's power in the midst. That's why they don't want us to come together. But guess what? I got up. I'm here to stand proud with Richmond, Virginia. And I am very happy to be here to say there may only be 4% black people in West Virginia, but we're mighty and we're strong, and we stand proud and tall. And thank you to Black Voters Matters for amplifying our voice, because we do have something to say. So please stand with us. Call Manchin, call Capitol, let them know, end the filibuster, make it happen. All votes matter.
I'm going to let you pass the torch to him. So we're going to pass the torch now.
Okay. And so in solidarity from Charleston, West Virginia to Richmond, Virginia, I here and now pass the torch and pass the flame.
Express yourself. Y'all can express y'all blackness. Y'all can express y'all love. Y'all can express y'all power. And so we're going to move on to the next person on the list. So next up we have former delegate Jennifer Carol Ford. Y'all, hold it. Wait a second. One more time. Y'all know this was a black woman that ran for governor of the state of Virginia. So I don't care where we go. We gonna love on our sisters. All right, so one more time. Former delegate Jennifer Carol Ford.
All right. I say good afternoon. No. I need y'all to put those sandwiches down. We can do better than that. I say good afternoon. All right. I am Jennifer Carol Foy, and I just have to say thank you to Black Voters Matter for coming to Richmond, a city that I love, in the best state in the country, right here in Virginia, to energize and excite people about why the freedom rides were so important. So important in the past, and they are so important today. Because we have throughout this country people trying to implement Jim Crow 2.0. They want to keep us from the ballot box. They want to silence our voices. They don't want us to be seen or to be heard, but we have news for them, that we are here and we're going nowhere. So there is an all-right assault on voting rights, and let's be clear about that. There are 50 different democracies in this country, 50 different states with 50 different laws, giving people different access to the ballot. And that's why we need H.R. 1 for the People Act voted for. That's why we need H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, voted for. Because it is not up to the courts, it should be up to Congress what our right to vote in this country should be. And until that happens, we have some unfinished business. One of the greatest tools in our arsenal to fight for justice and equality is our right to vote. And if it wasn't powerful, people wouldn't be working so hard to get it out of our hands. So I can tell you that there is only one place that the man who sweeps the floor at Amazon is just as powerful as the billionaire who owns it, and that is at the voting booth.
I ain't mad.
People don't want us to vote because that is how power and wealth get redistributed. That's how our communities get uplifted. That's how we have economic justice and end environmental racism. That's how we get things done that's going to uplift all of us. And if we don't do it, we'll continue to have the same conversations. Because there are some black and brown people who are just as disenfranchised today as their foremothers and forefathers were 50 and 60 years ago. So while in Virginia, we have made some progress. And while I'm excited to say that we've repealed strict voter ID laws, made Election Day a state holiday, we have no excuse absentee voting. Delegate Price fought to get the State Voting Rights Act passed. Come on, clap it up, y'all. Give it for that. The first Southern state to do so. We still have work to do. So if you want to have economic empowerment, if you want our schools fully funded, if you want to end the killing of black and brown people on our streets due to racial injustice, if you want us to uplift unions, if you want us to have the things that we need and we deserve, yes, we need to march, but then we need to march to the polls and we need to vote. Because at the end of the day, we are here because things matter. Ending mass incarceration matters. $15 minimum wage matters. Healthcare access for all matters. Clean air and clean water matters. Your children matter. You matter. And at the end of the day, y'all, black voters matter. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for coming out today. Thank you so much for coming out. Yeah, I'm working from 2 phones. All right, working. Y'all didn't get that. It's okay. All right, so next we have the president and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women's Roundtable, Melanie Campbell.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? The first thing I have to do before I say a brief few words is thank my sister. Come here. My sister, Latasha Brown, and somewhere our brother Cliff Albright. Where you at, Cliff? Can we give them a real thank you? Thank you. Thank you. And why do I say thank you, Latasha? Because they're trying to steal this democracy. They're trying to push black folks, brown folks, good folks to the back of the bus. Did I say it again? They're trying to push black and brown folks and good folks to the back of the bus. Why do I say that? Now, I live in the Commonwealth of Virginia, right? So I'm here in Virginia. And so I thank Virginia for doing whatever we need to do, nonpartisanly speaking, to make sure they didn't put us in the back of the bus. But don't sleep it. November is coming. Now I spend my days in Washington, D.C., unfortunately. And I'm telling you, that vote the other day, did anybody pay attention to that vote? That vote wasn't just about whether you liked the bill on voting rights. That vote told us we will steal this elections, local, state, national. That's what it told me. Why? Because in Georgia, let me tell you about the Georgia law. Not only is it about suppressing the vote, it's about taking our ability to count the damn vote. So we can do all the organizing we want. We can register. We can turn them out. They can take Sunday voting. We'll go Monday. We can do all of that, y'all. And who's in the room counting the votes? So when they said they wouldn't discuss it, they were telling us, we're going to take you back, not 1960, not 1950. We're going to take you all the way back. So I just came to say to my sister and my brother Cliff, because I'll be in D.C. tomorrow and I'll say a little more. But there was no way, since I live in the Commonwealth, I wasn't going to ride down here and see my brother Gary Flowers, who's my movement brother. So thank you, peace and power, and let's get this done. Let's take this freedom ride. Let's get our voting rights and protect it in these United States. Thank you. Oh, Black Women's Roundtable. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My sister and I'm taking orders from the persons in charge, so I ain't taking no extra time. I was told to do some extra time. My sister Stephanie Moore is down here all the way from Kalamazoo, Michigan. So the Black Women's Roundtable. My sister, you want to say something?
Shout out to all you melanated, black, powerful people that can't stop, that won't stop. We going to take back what is ours. We following this bus to us because we are a freedom rider. Ladies, get with a woman who is doing real work. I grew up through Black You Vote, Black Women's Roundtable, and now Black Voters Matter. We've been doing this work because we've had awesome examples. Sit at the feet of a sister who's a soldier and a warrior so you can be empowered, get the tools that you need, and do some work. Good to see y'all, Richmond, Virginia. Can't stop, won't stop. 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 All right, black people.
Behind me. Let me know your traveling fee. All right, cool. So we going up to what's next. We have another delegate coming up to the stage. All right, cool. My phone froze. It's that heat, that Virginia heat. This is how you know Virginia really is the South. Marcia, I got you. This is how you know Virginia is really the South. It still get hot up here. But I want to welcome Delegate Marcia Price to the stage. Thank you so much, sis.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's an honor. It's an honor to share this space and this stage with literal Black history facts in these beautiful Black people. I have just a few thoughts that I want to share with you today, but I first want to thank Latasha and Cliff and the team for including Virginia on your stops and for all of the work that you're doing. And I want to welcome y'all to Virginia because the Black communities that we have in Virginia are much like yours and the ones you've seen on your tour stops. We are bold, beautiful, strong, and resilient. But I say resilient with a heavy heart because I know that we are, but no one should have to be this resilient. And it's because of the 401-year history of the first Africans that were stolen from their land and came to the shores just down 64 at Point Comfort. And every year since then, the same hatred and greed that established the transatlantic slave trade keeps coming for us, and we keep having to fight back. But some may ask, what are voting rights? Not everybody knows, y'all, so let's tell them. Voting rights are the basic human rights being treated as political footballs whenever Black folk choose to use our equal power. They are the entry point into democracy as full human beings that scares those whose political platforms have left us behind for decades. They are what passive and active racists tried to snatch first when they realized that they can't win without cheating. They are the way that spineless people try to attack us, not because we are weak, but because we are strong. Our voting rights stay under attack because Black voters have, always will, mattered, and they know it too. Seriously, at each turn in history, systemic attacks on voting rights have occurred. We fought for our freedom, got it, and Black men were thriving during Reconstruction politically. But they were like, oh no, we didn't mean for y'all to build that much with the little power we gave you. And then came the Jim Crow laws that cracked down on Black people, and they knew they made it illegal for Black people to hold books. They put obstacles in between us and our finances, so they came with the literacy tests and the poll taxes. We fought the change in the multiple facets of the civil rights movement, and we got the Voting Rights Act of 1965. But Black people, then we got Shelby v. Holder, the war on drugs, policies that criminalize the poor, and all kinds of obstacles to our health, safety, security, and education against which we have continued to fight. And in the face of one of the most blatantly racist and malicious administrations, we showed up to vote like we know we have our power and turned the tides again. Especially when Black voters in Georgia showed up to show the world that they are not apathetic or complacent, but empowered. And just like clockwork, state legislatures are coming up with spiteful and evil power grabs out of desperation, attacking our voting rights yet again. But just as we know the history and the present of what they have done, my God, because of some wise elders, we know the history of what we have done. And that's when we learned the name of Evelyn Butts from Norfolk, who sued to end the poll tax and won. That's when you know the name Attorney J. Thomas Newsom from Newport News, who argued before the Supreme Court for voting rights. And so many that thought it not robbery to use their time, talent, intellect, and fighting spirit to be the change and do the work for freedom. What those who seek to put us back in chains do not know is that our power was never given to us by another man or a governmental structure, but from our Creator and Redeemer. We know that when Medgar Evers said, until freedom comes, that did not imply that we are supposed to sit and wait for freedom, but that we are committed to standing up like you are doing now to do what's right and fight to create the world we all deserve. Latasha and Cliff, I want you to know you done pulled up to a little different situation here in Virginia, okay? Because when you see the maps on the news of the states that are doing the regressive voting rights bills, that's not Virginia. And let's be very clear That's not because of luck or chance. That is because of black women's work. That's because of activists and advocates and legislators coming together. And from the legislative perspective, I, along with Senator Jen McClellan, have been using our time, talent, resources to pass legislation. We've been trying for years, and this is nonpartisan, but I'm going to just say something happened in the 2019 elections that led to 2020 when we got our bills passed. And we helped protect the voting rights of black, indigenous, and people of color communities all over the Commonwealth. I, a black woman from Newport News, Virginia, am the chair of the House Voting Rights Subcommittee. And I can tell you, those restrictive voting rights bills were put forward, but we killed them all. And let me tell you what we did pass. House Bill 1255 in 2020 made racial, political, and prison gerrymandering illegal in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Senator McClellan and I knew that while some others were fighting about who was going to draw the lines, that the foundational thing was how they were going to be drawn. We expanded early voting, vote by mail, the types of voter ID that can be used, enhanced access for voters with disabilities, and expanded access to the ballot, automatic voter registration. And we brought Sunday voting to Virginia, so whereas Delegate Bagby says you can go to church, go vote, and take your family to brunch all on the same day. And as was stated, we were the first state in the South to pass our own Voting Rights Act, and it is the most comprehensive in the nation. The Voting Rights Act of Virginia was a collaborative labor of love with me and Senator McClellan, New Virginia Majority, the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, the Advancement Project, and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and we got it done. But what's important for perspective is that some of the members that sit with me in the chamber were alive during 1965, and they've been fighting us ever since. But we got it done. 1965 was the year that we became a democracy, with the full inclusion of voters that have been left behind by previous constitutional amendments. That means our democracy is young, and that means we've got to protect it. But watch this. Audre Lorde taught us that, as I paraphrase, the true focus of revolutionary change is never merely the current situation we face, but to unlearn the colonial power dynamics we have been taught. Our paradigm shift to liberation is possible if we stay true to ourselves and what we know, who we are. We must embrace collaboration to truly inclusive ways, and that's the power they're afraid of. They know we don't need their table in order to eat. We can build our own beloved community where we and our real allies can build side by side for a world we deserve. And as I come to a close, for those of you that are here in Virginia, as students of history, we know that it's cyclical. And that's why we have to center the voices of the most marginalized. And while we can't sit idly by, we also have to fight for Georgia, Texas, Arizona, Florida, Iowa, and the like. We know that we have a Voting Rights Act today, but it could be gone tomorrow. And we know that national legislation is the only way that all of our families will be protected across the country. So it is time today to let us recommit to the cause of action. Our ancestors are whispering in our ears to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep building, and to stay grounded in the knowledge that Black lives matter, Black futures matter, and Black votes matter.
everybody. We're moving forward with the next one. I hope y'all know that we going to be all right. Because we got every person here. We got everywhere watching online, everywhere all across America. Because we're making history at this very moment. Because they know they should be scared. Because we're going to take our freedom. That's why we riding. We know we're going to be all right. We're going to be good. So we got next up, Deputy Director for Leadership Programs with the People for American Way, Marcus Batchelor.
What's up, Richmond? What's up, Virginia? So I am so happy to be here to represent People for the American Way, our network of thousands of activists across the country, our network of 3,000 black ministers across the country, and 1,300 progressive elected officials fighting for our voting rights, so many of which serve right here in Virginia. Let's give our elected officials a round of applause who are fighting the good fight and working along folks on the ground to get this done. I'm also proud to be here as a grandson of Virginia, the grandson of a 94-year-old daughter of Louisa County, Virginia, who was the granddaughter of a woman who worked this southern soil for free and died here. But I'm also the son of D.C., that girl from Louisa County who moved right up the road for D.C., who saw the 64 and 65 Voting Rights Act, who saw the Freedom Riders bleed on that southern soil, who saw Dr. King have a dream, who saw all of those things, and still, because of where she lives, has no representation in the United States House or the United States Senate because she is a resident of the District of Columbia. And so I'm here to say we've got work to do to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, to pass the For the People Act, but our work is not done until we make D.C. the 51st state in the United States of America. For that girl from Louisa and for her grandson too. And I'm so excited to say that while we stand here in the former capital of the Confederacy, the Confederate government might be dead, but what we're seeing now is that that Confederate ideology is alive and well in state houses and governments and some members of Congress across the country. But we're here, we came on the blackest bus in America to the former seat of the Confederacy to say just like that government won't rise again, neither will that ideology, and all of us are here to fight against it. We've got so much work to do to bridge gaps for people who need opportunity, who need a chance, who want to not just survive, but thrive in our society. And like you've heard before, all of that work, all of that progress that we're counting on depends fundamentally on our right to vote, on our access to the ballot box. So if we don't make these critical reforms to voting right now, if we don't do this work right now, all the progress on all of those issues, on changing how our criminal justice system serves and treats people, on making sure that folks can love who they love, that they can live in whatever community they want to affordably, that they can get a quality education no matter what zip code they live in. All of that progress fundamentally depends on what we do right now to make sure that all of us can vote for the folks who are going to do that work. And so are you with me, Virginia? Are we going to get the For the People Act passed? Are we going to have a John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act that honors his legacy? Are we going to make D.C. the blackest state in America? If you're with me, let me hear you say, fired up, ready to go, fired up, ready to go, fired up, ready to go. Let's go to D.C. and win. Love y'all, Virginia.
We're moving forward. So so we're moving forward with Jerome Foster, a White House Environment Justice Advisor. A White House Environment and Justice Advisor Committee.
How's everyone doing today? Okay. Good afternoon, Richmond. My name is Jerome Foster II. I am 19 years old, and I'm the former intern for Congressman John Lewis, and I now sit on the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council. Through our work, we make sure that Black and brown communities get the resources and infrastructure that they deserve. Through my work at Congressman John Lewis, I understood that he was a powerful freedom fighter. I understood that he was a powerful freedom rider. And I understood that he fought on behalf of Black people everywhere. And as we stand here today, and as we see voting rights being challenged, trying to take us back to the Jim Crow era, we stand and continue to march. We continue to vote. We continue to rally because we know that our votes matter. We know that youth votes matter. We know that everyone's voices that are standing here today matter, and that we will not stop until our voting rights are restored, and that our environmental rights are restored, and that every single person here can go down to the ballot box and have their voices heard without having to go through waiting in line for 7 hours, having to wait for hours to even be seen, having to register and be purged off the voting ballots. That's why we're here today. It's to say that enough is enough, and that we're tired, we're sick and tired of having to organize for our basic freedoms and our basic right to vote. We're sick and tired of having to organize over the same thing. We're sick and tired of having to have the conversation that our grandmothers and that our great-grandmothers told us, that when we walk out to the streets, be careful, because the police might shoot and kill you. This is a time for us to step forward and step into that new era that we've talked about for so long. I remember my mother telling me when I was 8 years old that when you go out into the streets, look to your left and look to your right, because there might be a police officer anyway. And I don't want to do that when I raise my son. I don't want to do that when I raise my grandson. I want them to be just as equal American citizens as anyone else. And as I move on to my second point, I have someone else to say. Let's see. I want to say that when we look around, we have to remember that our unity, our determination, our collective resilience, and our strength of our African ancestors standing alongside us today power us as we move forward and continue to fight. We know that voting is a sword that cuts through all injustice. And we know that civil rights are human rights, and human rights are environmental rights. Because as an environmental justice organizer that striked in front of the White House for over 80 weeks, now sitting in a seat that's able to dictate the policies that fund our communities, we must understand that the civil rights movement fought not only for civil rights, but human rights. And we understand that human rights are at the foundation of environmental justice. Because as an environmental activist, I know that 70% of all coal-fired power plants are placed in Black and brown communities. I know that if we look at the African continent, we know that they're polluting and continue to extracting from the nations that we know is naturally our resources. So we must understand that environmental justice and environmental rights are native to what we need to start right now. We have to start at the foundation. We know that voting is the sword that cuts through all injustice, as I say again. And we know that as we continue to fight to end injustice, we must come together. Young people like Congressman John Lewis led this fight. They led us to be able to stand here today and say that we will continue on. He bled on the streets. He died for us to be able to sit here and not vote. He died for us to sit here and say, oh, I don't want to take off for work today, because, oh, it's an inconvenience. We can't do that anymore. We just came from West Virginia, and we saw that people are ready to vote. They're fired up and ready to go, as Marcus just said. They're fired up and ready to go to the polls. So when I say take it to the streets, you say take it to the polls. Take it to the streets. Take it to the streets. Take it to the streets. That's right. As we continue to rally and continue to take to the streets, we will continue to show that our elected representatives were elected to represent us. They were not elected to be seen as plots of land bought and paid for by corporations. They represent us. They represent Black Americans. They represent Latin Americans. They represent Latin Americans. They represent gay Americans. They represent straight Americans. They represent Christian Americans. And we're here today to say that we will not divide ourselves and continue to segment ourselves and not unite like the people we are. We are all American citizens, inherently born on this country that's supposed to be free. So let us continue to organize and fight to make sure that this continues to be free and not dictated by the powers that want to bring us back to that Jim Crow era. We today are saying that we're starting a new era, an era of justice, an era of equality, an era of equity, an era of Black excellence, an era of people coming together saying that race is not the only thing I see when I look at you when you walk down the street. This is the era saying that enough is enough, and that our Black brothers and sisters should not be killed as they're walking down the street trying to sell singles of cigarettes. That is not worth dying for. That is not worth being killed for when you're walking down just your own neighborhood. Our communities are over-policed. Our communities are underfunded, and that has to change. If Biden wants our vote, if any Democrat wants our vote, if any Republican wants our vote, things must change. We're tired of your empty words. We're tired of your empty promises. We want action, and we are demanding it, and you are demanding it, because we know that every single person that's out here, every single person, if everyone picked up the phone right now, I'm being completely honest, if everyone in this crowd right now picked up the phone and called Senator Joe Manchin, called Speaker Pelosi, and said voting rights are essential and that you must vote for the For the People Act, we would make a difference. Because as an intern, I was the recipient. I was the one hearing your calls, and I had to tally every single time. Every single time a person called in and said, we want voting rights, then they had to go and enact it. Because they know if you're determined enough to call and that you're determined enough to come out here today in the hot weather, if you're determined enough to sit on a bus going through state after state after state, then they know you're powerful enough to vote. They know you're determined enough to vote. So let's continue to be determined. Let's continue to be powerful. Let's continue to rally, and we must continue to vote. Because Black voters matter, period. When I say Black voters, you say matter. Black voters, Black voters, Black voters, Black voters. Now one more time, take it to the streets, take it to the polls, take it to the streets, take it to the streets, take it to the streets. Thank you.
Black voters matter. All right, we can do it generic. It's generic. Black voters matter. Black voters matter. When I say love, you say power. Love. Love. When I say power, you say love. Power. Power. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. So all right, I made a statement earlier. I said when I see all this red, I know two things, right? It's either we know Unite Here is here, all right, or we know that the Deltas are here. All right, cool. So it's my pleasure to introduce Joan Mulholland, an original freedom rider, and also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Incorporated.
Okay, folks. Yes, I was a Delta. I pledged at Tougaloo College way back in the day. Now, let me show my T-shirt.
All right.
Edmund Pettus Bridge, and y'all know the story of the Edmund Pettus Bridge. So I won't go there, but I'm going to give you the backstory and the after story. Now, Mama Boynton, Amelia Boynton, and Selma had been working for years with the NAACP for voting rights. And her boy, Bruce, was up at Howard University in law school. And he bought a ticket for the bus, I forget whether it was Greyhound or Trailways, to go home and visit Mama on a school break. And when they got to Richmond, he got off and went into the bus station to get a bite to eat, but he went into the wrong waiting room and got arrested, and that case made itself to the U.S. Supreme Court. And it was in December of 1960 that the Supreme Court ruled that all the facilities in commercial interstate travel had to be open to everybody equally, not just the vehicle of conveyance, the bus, the train, etc. So the Freedom Rides were organized by this New York group CORE to check compliance with the Freedom Rides, with the Supreme Court ruling. And it ended up in Jackson, Mississippi, not New Orleans as planned, but there was a deal struck between the Kennedys and the state of Mississippi, the great and sovereign state, to they could make arrest on a local charge, not a segregation racial charge, of anybody, but as long as there was no violence permitted in Jackson. So we all got arrested on breach of peace, which usually means drunk and disorderly, but this time meant that we were upsetting the peace of mind of some of the local crackers. Y'all know what a cracker is, right? And but then when some of them Freedom Riders, particularly the good-looking black guys, got out of prison, Parchman Penitentiary, they went into the communities to work on how to change things, and realized quickly that if you're going to make change, you got to be able to elect the people that make and enforce the laws. So the focus became voter registration. And gradually, a lot of them, including my good buddy Stokely Carmichael, we went on the Freedom Ride together, you know, and they moved on over into Alabama, particularly around Selma, and worked on all this stuff. And it led ultimately to the march on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, where Mama Boynton was beaten so badly that President Lyndon Johnson, who was only president because he had been chosen as a powerful Southern Democrat, Southern, underline it, capitalize it, Southern Democrat, to balance out that Yankee Catholic boy's ticket. And now Kennedy was dead, and Lyndon Johnson was president. So in what was to me an amazing act of courage, Lyndon Johnson went before a joint session of Congress on national television, back when that was a really big deal, and talked about the beating of Mama Boynton, and said we must have a Voting Rights Act. And we shall overcome. And in case anybody missed it, he leaned toward the cameras and repeated, and we shall overcome. With those three words from the anthem of the student civil rights movement, he signed the death ticket of the Southern Democrats as it propelled him to the presidency. To me, for him to do that was amazing courage. Didn't like everything he did, mind you, but that was good. So, we got the Voting Rights Act. We got more elected officials because of federal registrars, more elected officials in the state of Mississippi than in any state in the Union. Think of that. Mississippi having more elected black officials than any state in the Union. We got the first elected black governor in the history of the United States. Who was that? Say his name. Doug Wilder, the the first elected black governor in the entire history of the United States, who served right here in the capital of the Confederacy, Richmond, Virginia. To me, that is an amazing coincidence. Full circle, capital of the Confederacy, first elected black governor in the history of the United States, serving there. And then we got the first elected black president. No matter what someone wants to say about his birth certificate, the first elected black president in the entire history of the United States, Barack Obama, in the White House. Yes, a lot of good came from that. But now we have increasing erosion by the Supreme Court, by different states and their officials, by their laws, the erosion of the Voting Rights Act. It's all questionable. And I also want to point out while I'm at it, it's just not black and brown people that are facing discrimination. Asian Americans have been under attack and getting murdered and discriminated against and spat upon, not just in the South, but all over the United States. So let's see how many Chinese carryouts we can find. Let's see how many Vietnamese restaurants we can find. Japanese, oh, my favorite food is sushi. Anybody say what sort of restaurant you want to go to? Sushi, whatever place is serving sushi, including in Jackson, Mississippi. Yes, they got one right down there on North Capitol Street, or did the last time I was there. So, it's all of us are in this together. And Native Americans, little discrimination there since the very beginning. So we got to all work together for racial justice, for voting rights. My generation took care of legal segregation, but there is so much racism of all sorts still alive and more than well in this country. And so we got the younger folks out here. I'm speaking to you now, all you youngins. You got to do something about it. Working together. The crowds we have seen in the marches after George Floyd's killing were huge and so multicultural, a no majority situation. And we need more of that, and we don't want it to stop. So let's keep it going. Let's raise a fist. Let's raise it the South African way. Thumbs up. Not like you're going to get in a fight, but thumbs up. That's the way they do it in South Africa, I was told when I was there. Yes. Black power, people power, all of us together power. Keep it going, and don't turn back. Thank you.
All right, y'all. I know. No, she got to scoot up.
I'm getting old and a little forgetful. It'll happen to all of you. But my son Loki, named for the Norse god of mischief, and God knows he's lived up to it. He has a foundation to fight racism through education, and he's produced movies and kids' books and things, and he's got a stand over here. selling them. So support my boy if you would, please.
All right, y'all. All right, so I'm losing my voice now. So we're about to come to the end of the show. So I've been debating on what I was gonna say when I got up here, right? Because the two people who are about to come up and speak, I know they gotta go, but I just gotta say this real quick. They are the co-founders of hands down, the blackest organization in America, Black Voters Matter. Cliff Albright and Latasha Brown. But more than co-founders, I want to introduce my mentors. When I tell you the fatigue of this work weighs on every single one of us. And the thing that I got most out of Black Voters Matter, and I think everyone here is experiencing at the same time, is the healing of love and power. So everywhere we go, we always go to spread some love and power. So before they come up, I gotta say it one more time. When I say love, you say power. Love. Love? Now let me introduce Cliff and Latasha. Put your hands up.
How y'all feeling out there? Where all the proud people out there? Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. How y'all doing? This is day 8. And listen, I got to take this time to say, unite here. When we said we riding out, y'all was like, we riding out with you, right? And you all have been coming up in full force. We love labor because fundamentally what we know, the people of this nation, it is the workers who are going to turn this nation around. So we just want y'all to know how much we value you, and we're happy to be here. You know, I was I'm getting myself together because I'm really moved by Miss Joan that here we are. We're so honored because Cliff and I, you know, we're just saying about the pictures that are on the bus. Y'all got to see her picture. She got the prettiest mugshot I've ever seen. But then to see this woman stand in this space and continue to do this work, y'all know how grateful and honored, and now I got the nerves to talk about I'm tired, right? We ain't tired. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom's land. Amen. So I'm going to be real quick because we got to go. We got about a minute and a half, so I'm going to be real quick. 3 things that I want to say before we leave today. One, we're in a space. I want y'all to know, y'all, as I continuously say, it is our spirit, is the spirit of the people that can never be defeated. And so we need to recognize that as we're standing here today, today is the 8th year of the Shelby versus Holder case. And so here it is, the Department of Justice is going to sue the state of Georgia. Let's say yay for suing the state of Georgia. I do want to tell you, y'all, we sued the state of Georgia before they got the paper out the office good, right? Within minutes, we had filed a lawsuit against the state of Georgia as well. And so literally what we're saying is we got to stand in a space to always really be able to push back and to fight for our right to vote. So there are 3 quick things I want to say. The first thing I want to say is we will take to turn, what we need to turn this nation around is we need the people. Let's say it with me. We need the what? People. We need the what? People. The way we get the people, y'all, we got to go to the people. You got to love the people. We can't even get caught up in just the policy if the policy doesn't center who? People. So we need people. So we have to organize just as we're in these communities. We're asking you, if you got your phones out, you haven't done it already, make sure you text We Matter to 797979 if you want to stay connected to the work that we're doing ongoing. If you want to learn more about the Freedom Ride to 797979. The second thing that we need, y'all, is we also need to know that we have to always operate in a space of possibilities. What are the possibilities that exist
when people are operating in their power. Like, imagine with me around what are the possibilities exist when we're able to actually move around freely. We're actually honored and feel respected and valued in our own nation, right? That's the vision I have, amen? And the third and the final thing is we have to be unapologetic when it comes about our power. That sometimes, Cliff always talks about this, sometimes power, people think of power as it's a bad word. No, it is the abuse of power, right? It is the abuse of power. What we want people to really recognize is that all of us, we have power, just the nature of us being created. No matter where we are, we deserve to be treated with dignity and respect and to be valued. We deserve to have a nation that is not based on what somebody else is saying, their vision, because their vision was so limited, y'all, they couldn't see most of us out here. They couldn't even acknowledge our humanity, but we're reclaiming our humanity. What I believe is if democracy is to be in this nation, we got to make it be so, y'all. We are a model of democracy. Look around. I just want you to take a moment right now. Just look around. Look at what you see. Isn't this a nation you see? You got black folk and white folks and indigenous people and our Latin brothers and sisters, and you got men and women and non-conforming, gender non-conforming, and you got LGBTQ, and you got straight, and you got religious, you got Muslims, you got Christians, you got all of that. My point, y'all, is that's the America that I want. And that's the America that we got to be willing to fight for. Amen? We got to fight. We got to fight. We got to fight. All right, come on, Cliff.
Hey, y'all, how y'all doing? You know, I'm going to be quick today. I said that yesterday and I lied, but I'm going to be quick today. Oh, yeah, because we got to go. And because even though this is day 8, my voice really feels like it's about day 26. So I'm hanging in there. But it's been so, every time we come up here and we think we're tired, you know, we think of 2 things. We think about, as Latasha said, those freedom riders and how they went through no matter how tired or no matter how dangerous. But we also think about all of y'all that have been in it and on this trip and following around. Some of y'all, how many folks out here from the straight of Nevada? Who's out here from Nevada? We got folks been out here since Monday, so y'all give us strength. So I'm going to make this quick. I just want to say a couple of things. One, I'm so glad to be here in the state of Virginia, and particularly here in Richmond. And I'm going to tell you why for 3 quick reasons. One, because, you know, we're talking about this Freedom Ride, and a lot of people don't know that what the Freedom Riders were doing was they were testing a Supreme Court case, right? And that Supreme Court case came about because a young man named Bruce Boynton, had tried to ride the bus and had faced the segregation, and so he sued. It was his case that led to the decision to then test the law that the Freedom Riders did. That case was called Boynton versus who? Boynton versus Virginia. Because he was discriminated against at a Greyhound station at a bus terminal right here in Virginia. So without Bruce Boynton, who, by the way, was the son of Amelia Boynton, who some of y'all may recognize from history or from the movie Selma, right? Amelia Boynton was one of the organizers of the Selma movement. Her son then becomes the plaintiff in the case that leads to the Freedom Rides. That's what generational movement building looks like. And so I'm glad to be here in Virginia for that reason, because without Virginia and without that case, there might not have been a Freedom Ride, right? We might not know the name of Sister Joan. So that's one reason. The second reason is this. Because of the victories that Delegate Price just talked about, right? She came up and she talked about the first Voting Rights Act, you know, in the country, and she talked about, you know, making it a state holiday, and she talked about the felony disenfranchisement and some of the other things that they've been able to include here in Virginia. So y'all give it up for Virginia for being so progressive on voting rights. But at the end of the day, in spite of who it is that might be governor at any one time or who might be in the legislature at any one time, what we always got to remember is there may come a day and there may come a king who knew not Joseph, right? And so we can't just trust that we're always going to have some good folks in the governor's mansion or good folks in the legislature. Now, our intention is fully that we're going to hold on to that legislature that y'all did such a good job of taking a couple of years ago, right? That's our full intention. But that was also the intention after Barack Obama came and some people started talking about a post-racial America. There may come a king who knew not Joseph. So we can't count on that. That's why we've got to have a strong regulatory, a strong legal framework in order to protect the rights and protect the victories that we've won in this state. That's why we got to have the laws of H.R. 1 and H.R. 4 and D.C. statehood, H.R. 51 that Marcus talked about a little while ago. That's why we got to end the Jim Crow filibuster. Now, I'm not going to talk long because we just came from West Virginia yesterday, and we talked a good bit about the filibuster and Joe Manchin and all that stuff, and people are still doubting because of the vote that took place the other day. They're like, oh, the voting rights, it must be dead, right? But what we know is that pressure works. Without pressure, we would never have had the 1965 Voting Rights Act. In fact, just without pressure, Latasha talked about this lawsuit that the Department of Justice just announced today. And without pressure, we might not have had that lawsuit be announced. That's because of the work of all of you that we pushed them, and because we got two good sisters at the Department of Justice that are both civil rights attorneys, so we want to give it up for them. But it's because of that inside and this outside game that we were able to get to that result. It's going to be the same combination that gets us to pass this Voting Rights Act that we're fighting for right now. So I'm about to go. We're about to go. But I do have to. I told Greg, I was talking to Greg, I said I'm not going to be long. I don't think I'm going to say some of the stuff that I usually say. But after looking at you all, today might not be that day. Today might not be that day where I cut that short. So I'm going to just leave by saying this. In the state of Virginia, what used to be the capital of the Confederacy, what used to be the capital of those folks who tried to deny our human rights, what used to be the capital of the people who would wish that to this day that we would still be enslaved in this state, there might come a day when we turn our backs on the fact that we defeated them, that we made possible that which they thought would be impossible. There may come a day where we don't do that, but today is not that day. There may come a time in the state of Virginia, a state that's got some pretty good voting rights laws, there may come a day where the good folks of Virginia turn their back on the rest of the folks in this country that are still fighting against voter suppression. Our friends and our sisters in Georgia and in Texas and in Arizona and in Michigan and on the other 47 states, there might be a day where the good folks of Virginia turn their back on what our brothers and sisters are going through. But today is not that day. There may come a day where we believe what they tell us, where they believe that we don't have the power to end the Jim Crow filibuster, where we don't have the power to convince a senator, whether that senator is Joe Manchin or Kirsten Sinema or whoever it is that's standing in the way of our rights and our human dignity. There may come a day where we believe the media reports that this battle is over. But today is not that day. And that's why we're asking y'all to join us and go next door over to the Douglas Commonwealth and join us tomorrow in D.C. at 12 o'clock where we can make our demands and where we can collectively shout out, say, I am a freedom rider. Fist up, say, I am a freedom rider. One more time, say, I am a freedom rider. We love y'all. Thank y'all.